Welcome to the Seattle Real Estate with Urban Ash, your go-to podcast for all things Seattle and Seattle real estate. Whether you're a first-time homebuyer, an experienced investor, downtown resident, or simply just curious about the latest market trends, we've got you covered. I'm Urban Ash, a 20-plus year downtown resident and real estate professional. Together, we'll uncover insider tips, share expert insights to help you navigate the market, and showcase community leaders and organizations. So join me as we dive into everything from the rental and sales market to the rich community life that makes Seattle so unique. Hi there, thanks for joining today. We're going to be chatting with Radley Raven of the Oppenheim Group down in San Diego. Rad is a great friend of ours here from the Pacific Northwest, and we just want to chat with him to see what the market's doing down there in San Diego. So let's dive in. Thanks, Rad, for joining today. Want to just get basically a snapshot of what's been going on in San Diego. I mean, we have all these different markets with so much going on, from the difference of their urban core to the sprawling neighborhoods, kind of the suburbs and all that sort of thing. So you being kind of a go-to expert in the San Diego area, in general, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, hello and nice to see you. Thanks for having me, of course. I think overall in general, San Diego's experiencing a lot of things that are happening in other markets. Like new listings are increasing, sales are slowing, likely, by design through the interest rate hikes and all that kind of stuff. There's certainly some pockets that are performing better than others. The most interesting thing, in my opinion, that we're seeing down here is that the price hasn't really followed those typical actions. Like if supply is increasing and demand is slowing, generally the price should come down. And we're just really, not seeing that as much as I thought we would, in that kind of circumstance. If anything, it's gone up,
So are you thinking that like owners are kind of staying put with the pricing, and then if for some reason they're not able to sell, or they're willing to take more like days on market?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's waiting around for their value because they believe in their value and they don't really probably need to sell right away.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And, the lateral movements are pretty much gone away. And that was a big part of 2020 to 2022. Lots of people were just maybe wanted a different neighborhood or different kind of lifestyle. So they're going more lateral, and those are completely gone. So I absolutely think people are staying put. And if they're not getting the price that they really want to see, then they're happy to stay. Keep their likely low interest rate. The downtown segment, though, has not been quite the same. There's been a lot of condo listings. They're just not moving. And those prices have been affected for sure. And I think one of the deals with condos, which really well, is HOAs can be a really big factor. We have a lot of new high-rise downtown, and the HOAs are expensive, and it just really deteriorates affordability with high interest rates and a high HOA. So I think that's had a big hand in affecting the condo market.
Yeah, that's exactly what kind of was a perfect storm here too. And I think that really is, that is what we're seeing and experiencing in all kind of those urban areas, basically throughout the nation.
Right. Yeah. And even, people are starting to go back to the office, and that hasn't really seemed to make a difference. San Diego downtown is a little different than a lot of other bigger cities. I mean, for the longest time, we're a hospitality vacation place. And there wasn't like a big work scene downtown. So it's always been a little different in that regard. But it's definitely been affected. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Are they developing a lot in the downtown core as far as maybe apartments or other kind of communities?
It doesn't really seem like it. It could be a cost thing, just with buildings being so expensive and that sort of thing. There's not a ton of cranes down there. I'd say like a couple years ago, there were several new towers that went up, but there's not really right now. Not much is happening.
Got it. Yeah, I'd
More,
probably say here, if we compare, we have a lot more apartment buildings that are being built right now versus condos. Like we have one condo building that's being completed, and the crane is gone at this point. And no other condos actually slated for sale for new construction. So,
so those are like built to lease kind of
yep,
deals. Yeah,
rentals.
there's definitely, I think the construction's kind of more gone around the city, like kind of urban sprawl.
Mhm.
Um, South of the city, there's been a lot of construction going on down there, like Chula Vista. We got like a soccer stadium that's planned, and lots of like residential type improvements down that way.
Mhm.
Um, and then North County, there's just it's so dense and expensive. The land is so expensive. We just don't get like apartment buildings much. There's a few, but they're a couple stories high, maybe.
Yeah, and are you guys seeing any or experiencing any density zoning changes at all? Kind of in your
Uh,
area or talks of it?
yeah, mostly through ADUs,
Okay.
which is like been a California mandate,
Mhm.
and mostly through ADUs. Lots of people are trying to add them. Um, and interestingly enough, a lot of them seem to be for multi-generational living
Yep.
versus like renting or, trying to build an office or just expanding square footage. A lot of them seem to be multi-generational living, which is interesting.
Yeah, we're seeing that up here too. We have ADUs and DADUs, we call them. And yeah, a lot of that is that more so um them being built for family members and whatnot, not necessarily to be rented out, as investment properties too. So
Right.
well, same thing. We are going through some zoning changes though that will change will allow the ability to have more high density homes, so townhome projects and stuff within, what would be historically single family or residentially zoned neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So that's we have two House bills, or Senate bills that are coming up that are changing kind of the landscape of how everyone kind of looks at their property and what's highest and best use and the density of different neighborhoods and whatnot. So,
That's interesting.
yeah. So as far as like different neighborhoods that you're seeing that are kind of the hot neighborhoods or areas down there, are they more of the higher end areas or they're kind of some like up and coming areas as well?
So a couple that really stand out. One is Carlsbad. That's actually where I live. Carlsbad is pretty big. It's like three or four, one, two, three zip codes. And it borders Encinitas. But Carlsbad has, I'll give you the exact number. Um, that one really stands out to me. Just in one of the zip codes, like not a lot of new listings. This one's on the coast,
Mhm.
92011. And then closed sales are positive. Price is up over 10% year to date.
Wow.
And then 92009 has seen, like a 20% increase in listings, but also like a 13% increase in sales and a 7% increase in price.
Wow.
Whereas a lot of other Del Mar's been pretty strong too. Whereas a lot of other neighborhoods, you're seeing that 20 plus percent in new listings and like a
Mhm.
negative or even closed sales percentage and like a flat increase in price or maybe a little plus or minus.
Gotcha.
Um,
What is the median, I guess, home price there in both of those areas?
right around 2 million.
Okay.
I think that, yeah, both of them are pretty equal in price. So it's really kind of that like upper middle price, middle class price range. And it's been doing really well.
Yeah.
Days on market have been increasing.
Hmm.
So things aren't like flying off the shelf per se, but they are selling.
Yeah. I think here too, when you have a good product that's priced where it needs to be and it's move-in ready, I mean, those things are going very quick. If you have a clean
Absolutely.
home, that the owner is obviously, invested in to put it on the market, it shows and it goes a long way with demand and the value.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing here. I'd say majority of sellers though are overpricing.
Yeah, gotcha.
Not many that are really coming in under, or at or under.
Hmm.
And that's really been the biggest effect on days on market. They're just
Gotcha.
a little overpriced.
And when you talk days on market, are you saying like 30 to 60, or are you seeing like 90 to 120 as being a norm?
Yeah, like 30 to 60.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, which is still great. I mean, that's relatively quick.
Hmm.
Um, Not quite the same of what we
Yeah.
experienced, a couple of years ago, but it's still pretty strong.
Yeah. Oh, actually, seasonality. Do you guys experience kind of the lulls of the seasons down there?
We do. His like pre-COVID, it was a little different. Like the spring market was the hot market to sell.
Mhm.
And then, wintertime would be a little slower naturally with the holidays and things like that. Um, but the last like 2 years, it seems like August, September, October have been, the slow months. And then November, December are pretty standard. And then we kind of like it feels revitalized around the new year.
Yep. Well, I was going to actually say, on the investment side, are you seeing investors coming in and buying single family or buying the condos, or really kind of coming at it from an investment standpoint? Or is it more so just kind of like people who need to make moves for personal decisions?
Right. Not so, I haven't any of my investor clients, they're not really buying right now. If anything, they're selling.
Hmm.
Um, Other than, the flippers or renovators or those guys, I mean, I don't think they ever stop buying. So,
Hmm.
but as far as like, single family um landlords, like they don't seem to really be buying right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. It's kind of one of the signs of, we've had a few up here, investors as of late. And I find that interesting because that's always a sign kind of when you get a new kind of buyer pool coming in, and that kind of fluffs up the market a little bit
Yeah.
and adds more people to it. So then, of course, you see that translate in values. But I
Right.
think we had that most recent, the Amazon coming back to work in 2025 announcement, and there was a couple people that reached out, and there's been a little bit of a buzz behind that whole thing, of whether or not that's going to really impact the housing market. And I think it's just too soon to tell
Sure.
how that's gonna to play out. But yeah, the investor side of things is kind of interesting. When you see that kind of come into play, that definitely is an indicator that the market's shifting a little bit.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Are you guys experiencing any like residents leaving the state for different reasons, or
No,
what's
we have.
been kind of that scope?
Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, we saw some of that happen during COVID. We have a lot of inbound employees still, because all the corporations that we have here,
Right.
people are shifting around, and whether or not they've worked for these companies for a while and they're finally moving here, or whatever it is, we still have inbound folks moving here. But there's been a fair amount, and I think it's maybe I would say there's a group of people that maybe have been here for a very long time and they're retiring or they're looking for life change or whatnot. And you do see those folks kind of going more so down south towards the sun. I mean, that's just kind of
Right.
natural. Whether it's California, Arizona, Florida, or whatever in between, some
Yeah.
Nevada too. And so, we've seen that shift, but not in a like crazy number that we could even kind of spit out there, but it's been
Right.
pretty consistent, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. One thing that I've certainly noticed, and I mean, you can kind of see it through the data too, but buyers are a little more particular. They're not as quick to pull the trigger. They seem to be really like evaluating the scenarios and taking their time. Even if they really need to buy something, they seem to be a lot more patient than they used to be.
Yeah. Are you seeing anything fall out of contract abnormally?
Not really.
Okay. Yeah,
Nothing
I had a
unusual, at least.
yeah, I had a lender mention that to me the other day, that they're seeing, in the past, let's say 10 years, that they've just seen a streak of buyers walking away. after they get into contract. I thought that was kind of interesting, but that goes along with what you're saying of how, they want buyers can be a little bit more picky because they have more to choose from and they have a little bit more leverage than in the past.
Right.
But it really has to be that property that kind of checks the boxes, right? Um,
Right.
because bottom line is you're spending so much, and then also you have the interest rates and everything in between that are kind of influencing the decision. But
Right. Yeah. And I think because it is so expensive, like they're just a little more thoughtful through
mhm,
inspection period on how those, flaws of the home, if there is any, affect, kind of the overall picture.
and updating and all that stuff too.
Right. And of course, any renovation or construction projects are expensive too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I think that's having an effect.
Are you seeing any other trends with regards to buyers or sellers down there in your market specifically?
Other than just the old adage of location
Hmm.
matters, like it's just so true. And it just always seems to count,
Hmm.
like the houses, the areas that are popular are good locations, they have good schools, and it just never ceased to fail.
Hmm.
That combination.
That's interesting too. Why don't, if you could speak a little bit about schools, because I know you have some kids that, obviously, are in school, down
Yeah.
there. So what, I mean, primarily, is it public, private, charter? Like, what are the school system like, or what is it like down there?
Yeah, the public schools are very good. They're highly rated across, compared to the rest of the country. And then there's also a lot of private schools,
Mhm.
and they're also really, really renowned. And I can't say there's like a trend between the two. Some people really believe in private schools, especially this day and age, for a lot of the different things that kids are being exposed to through public school.
Mhm.
Um, and I think for those reasons, some people are absolutely choosing private. Um, but the public schools are so strong here that a lot of people are just, are really happy with sending their kids to public school.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's always an added cost when you think about relocating to an area or moving to an area. What is the school rated, and then or if you're willing to be in that area, what are the private schools? How much does it cost? How hard is it to get in? All
Right.
those factors. So,
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
I have something kind of off topic too, another one for you. So
Yeah.
as far as the industry down there, you touched on second home and vacation for, the downtown core. But what is the industry around San Diego?
So for a long time, it's hospitality. That was like the biggest sector. It probably still is by like numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But life science has been making huge strides here for the last like decade. There's been a lot of investment from like big East Coast life science companies and other companies around the country that are investing in San Diego area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big one. And then also a lot of tech companies are starting to open some offices here in like the La Jolla area by UTC shopping center. I know like Apple and Google, some of the big guys are going to open offices. So the industry is really starting to evolve a bit and become more well-rounded, which I think over time is really going to be a driver for housing market here. And there'll just be more people that are moving here for work actually versus because they just love San Diego and can work from here or don't are retired or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what are you working on now? You want to tell a little bit about like yourself and just kind of what you're doing?
Sure, yeah. So a couple years ago, I joined the Oppenheim group, which a lot of people are familiar with because of their show Selling Sunset on Netflix. And at that time, I decided to partner with someone from my old brokerage, Carmela Garcia. So we joined the Oppenheim group together as a team, and it's been like, I guess, a year and a half now since we've been with them. And this year's been great for us. We've had a ton of like listing opportunities, and some great buyer clients. And then about 3 months ago, we picked up a property that we've started fully renovating. So this will be the first one we do together. We're in the framing stage right now, which is really exciting. It's in Rancho Santa Fe in Morgan Run area, which has another interesting factor. It was a private golf club for a long time. It still is. But a company purchased it some time ago. It wasn't that long ago. I don't know exactly. But it's investing a ton of money into the club and the golf course, and just really revitalizing the area. So I think we picked up a really nice property at a good time. It'll be interesting to see once it's finished how it all comes together, and kind of where the club's at that point. I think it'll be good.
Yep. So you're gonna flip it then or put it back on the market? Is that the deal?
Yeah, exactly. We don't like to call it a flip
No,
because
I hesitated using that word.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Because we're really, we're putting some really quality materials, being really thoughtful about the design, and trying to think of it as if we were going to move into it, like what would we like to see, and using those kind of materials and design elements.
Yep. And what is your bread and butter in terms of what areas you work in as well as your price points?
Yeah, so North County is definitely our bread and butter. We do some downtown. We just listed a condo downtown, and sounds like we have another one coming down there. But I would say, like 3 to 7 million North County is really, really our sweet spot. We've listed some really nice homes in Rancho Pacifica, which is an amazing neighborhood, guard gated, and the prices in there range from like 4 to 12 million. And we have a really nice one on the market in Del Mar Country Club right now at 7 million. That's just an amazing property. I think it's going to sell pretty quickly, actually.
Awesome. When'd you list it?
We listed that maybe 40 days ago or so.
Yep.
So it's relatively new. That price point takes a little longer to sell. But it's on the eighth hole in the course. Just a beautiful view. And it is built just extremely well. Great floor plan. It's fun to show. It's just nice to be there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I always enjoy seeing all your updates, and all the beautiful homes that you're representing and for our sellers as well as buyers. Definitely,
Yeah, thank you.
there's a lot of gorgeous homes down there, and it's nice to see that you're working it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a fun experience living down here and selling some of these amazing homes for
Yeah,
sure.
that's awesome. Well, I just want to do a quick check-in with you and just kind of see how things are going. I think it's been over a year since we did a
Oh my God.
little update, and it's so crazy how the year just flies like that.
I know, it's
Yeah,
unreal. I mean, this year alone, it's October. I don't
nuts.
know how it goes so fast, but it
Yep.
certainly does.
Yeah, it certainly does. Well,
Yeah.
I will link to your information if anyone is looking for a absolutely phenomenal go-to person in San Diego, anywhere area. Brad is definitely the person to contact, and
Thank you.
reach out if there's any questions, and we'll do another one of these updates maybe New Year, just kind of see how the first quarter went of 2025, and hopefully we're looking good.
Yeah. That sounds great. That sounds great. Thanks for bringing me on, and great to see and chat with you, and looking forward to the next one.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, Brad.
Okay, take care, Ash.